Jared leans in. There's the snap. Jared on the end around, gives it to Amik. He's going to throw it to Jared inside the 5 to the end zone. Jared Goff. Oh, baby.
Welcome to week 6 of the NFL season. This is the Twentyman the Huddle podcast, and my guest this week for our 3 key segment is Ben Raven. Does a great job covering the Lions for MLive, but there's also something else with Ben that people might not realize. Now, Ben is a large guy, right? As you can see here, is very much into wrestling, and you do a little something on your spare time too, don't you?
Yeah, I trained at the Can-Am Dojo in Windsor, and I do play-by-play, like announcing for Combat One Wrestling and IWTV, an independent wrestling app. But yeah, I still got the wrestling bug in me. Never been able to shake it. You know?
Just since you were a kid?
Yeah, from a kid, and then when I realized I was massive and my basketball career was done, so I was like, I kind of want to hit some people still. So let's kind of, realized I could do it, and it's a fun, wacky world, man.
I bet, and it fits football, wrestling, the physical nature of it. Well, Ben, they're coming off the bye, the Lions, and obviously really healthy. We saw the first day of practice on Tuesday, and all 53 guys accounted for. That's huge coming out of the bye, and that's what you want, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah, especially kind of going into that last game, losing Barnes, and you don't have Branch. I mean, getting all guys back, Frank back on the field, that's huge, and even gaining on Mahogany, the window back, so +1 even this week. That's exactly what you want out of the bye week, man.
All right, so let's get right into the 3 keys, and one of them is a little unorthodox, a little bit. To me, it's overcoming the unexpected.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten used to that as people who've covered the Lions, and obviously you guys as Lions fans, dating back to the picked up flag in 2014, to the obviously what happened with the identification last year, eligible receiver stuff, and just being able, it just seems like there's always something in Dallas that happens, and I think a big one is being able to kind of overcome that moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's the weird one about last year is, at the picked up flag and all that, you can look at other things that led to that. Last year, nothing led to that.
Right.
They put themselves in a position to win and had it taken from them, so it's the one thing that I always go back to with this team is, as long as Dan Campbell's here, they're going to be all right.
And one of the things I think that when you talk about overcoming the unexpected too is, I think it was fair that some criticized Dan Campbell's decision last year after that. Okay, that happened. Should it have been a touchdown? Yes. Should we be winning the game? Yes. Yeah. But now we're penalized. We're moved back. Yeah. Should you adjust? Should you kick the extra point? Do you still be aggressive and go for it? After that happened in the playoffs in 2014, you didn't handle it really well, right? You had the shank punt. You thought you had won the game, and then you can't get it done on offense with a last chance there. To me, those things are going to happen, and for some reason they happen in Dallas for whatever reason. To me, it's overcoming that and not letting it become an issue.
No, absolutely. They've been through it before. They went through it last year, and I look back to going for that 5, 6, 7 times it felt like. Dan Campbell's going to stay true to himself and how he's built this team. That aggressiveness is in his DNA, and I think it would be more harmful if they started to second-guess that and go away from it than to stick to it. But yeah, he's the right captain for this ship. Something weird's going to happen. It's national television in Dallas, man. Lions, Cowboys. Something's going to happen, but yeah, it's
just handle it.
Just handle it. Trust in what's got you this far.
Well, another thing they've got to handle is that Cowboys passing game, and that to me is the second really key is defending CeeDee Lamb and that Cowboys passing attack. You look at this passing offense for Dallas, number 2. They average 271.6 yards per game, and that's what they want to do because, frankly, they've struggled running the football. They're only averaging 82 yards on the ground per game. That ranks 31st. Average rush 3.5 per carry. That also ranks 31st. They know where their bread is buttered on offense. Now it's up to Detroit, Aaron Glenn to counter it. That's going to be a tall task this week, especially when you look at what happened. Now they do get Brian Branch back, and I think that's huge. But they did give up 395 passing yards to Seattle. They had a lot of success throwing the football. It was probably their worst performance of the year. In terms of their pass defense, they've been pretty good leading up. That's a big key to this game. Yeah,
I think the Cowboys tried to run the ball in that Monday night game against the Steelers. I don't think if the Lions keep doing what they're doing against the run, it's going to come down to the passing attack. And man, CD's just one of those guys. When he doesn't have 10 catches, you're like, what happened? What went wrong? And I think we saw last year what that guy's capable of. I mean, the 98, 97-yard touchdown, and just he gets open, and there's a reason why they finally forked over the money for those two guys, because that's the key to the Cowboys' success, and that's the only chance they're going to have against this defense, I think, in my opinion. I do not fear Dallas's rushing attack, and I wouldn't if I were Detroit's, but as long as you can keep that bottled, and you can keep doing what they're doing, the bend but don't break, limit field goals, big plays at big moments to get those takeaways. I mean, that's how they limit that. But CD's going to get his. If they can contain everything else, contain that tight end, contain that running game, they'll be all right.
Contain the big play. That's what it is with CD. You know, if you see a line where it's 10 catches for 92 yards and no touchdowns, I mean, I think you've done your job on CD. He's going to catch the football. Yeah. He's their focal point of their offense, but it's limiting the big plays. You mentioned the big play in the Dallas game that killed them, last year, the big one. They've limited those pretty well this season. I think that's the big thing when you talk about CD. Yeah, he's going to get his, and they generate plays. They do the quick wide receiver screens. They even run him sometimes. With some of the limitations they have at the running back position, he's going to get his, but just don't give up the big play. Is that why Brian Branch and having him back is so key this week?
Oh, big time, because the way Kirby's playing deep, the Branch being back in the box, doing all the things that Branch does pairs so well with the way Kirby's playing at deep safety right now. I mean, they've got the recipe to stop this attack. Kirby's playing great deep. They're going to need that. But Branch in the box, making plays whenever they try to get CD going over the middle. They have a guy like Brian Branch there, man. That's a pretty good kryptonite.
They're a different defense with Branch in there, just because they can disguise things between him and Kirby, because both are versatile. You talk about Kirby and obviously the 3 interceptions, being able to play the deep part of the field, but like he can come in the box and strike people, and we've seen that. I mean, he can hit.
He's fearless.
He is. And obviously with Brian, playing the nickel, he's used to being in the box, playing up there, but we've seen him be able to make plays in the deep part. And so now when you can rotate, and you as an offense, you're Dak Prescott, you come to the line, and you don't know who's going to be the deep. Is it 2 deep? Is it 1? Right. Which safety's coming up? Which safety's going back? And being able to be versatile in that regard, I think, is a huge thing that the Lions missed against Seattle. It's going to be huge this week.
No, and I just think Amik in the slot, allowing Branch to bounce around, like you said, it's what this defense didn't have last year. Yeah. There's options at cornerback, options at safety, options at slot, and I just think Branch, man, he's a special player. I mean, he really is, and he's big time in matchups like this.
Yeah, this should be a fun matchup with him and Kirby together, because you know that Dallas is going to attack, and they're going to attack down the field. You've got to think that there's going to be opportunities for both Kirby and Brian to make plays this week. All right, let's get to the third key to me, and I asked Scotty Montgomery, this week, and just how difficult is it going into a matchup, game planning for a matchup like this when Dallas is dealing with so many injuries up front along their defensive line? You don't even know who's going to be there, and now you're having to study guys that maybe don't have a lot of film and the challenges that come with that. But look, Micah Parsons is dealing with a high ankle sprain. They already put DeMarcus Lawrence on IR. He's going to be out Sunday. Marshawn Nealon, shout out to Western Michigan University, hurt the knee against Pittsburgh. Doesn't look like he's going to be available. Darrell Johnson's already on IR. So, I mean, you're talking about guys like, Tyrus Wheat, Chauncey Colston, Carl Lawson, who was brought up from the practice squad. Yeah. And credit to those guys. They each had a half sack in that game against Pittsburgh. I thought they played pretty well, but that's a hard thing for an offense, is maybe just the unknown about preparing for an opponent when there's that much uncertainty along their defensive front.
Yeah, I mean, because 11, Parsons, I mean, you have to prepare for him on every single snap. Run, pass, play action, first down, second down, third down. You take that away, that's a completely different defense. And then you take the Lawrence out, the wily vet, and you're like, all right, who's left? And Nealon was the guy that I was like looking forward to seeing, and it sounds like he's a long shot to play this weekend too. So I mean, they're going, like you said, Carl Lawson, man. No disrespect to Carl Lawson, was not aware he was still going. Just so that is where they're at right now in Dallas right now. But yeah, I just think it's a perfect opportunity to build off of that last game, run the ball, more play action with Goff. I mean, you should have all day in the pocket against this defensive line with what the Lions are getting. Probably getting Frank Ragnow back.
Yeah,
I mean, you take out 11 and that's enough. You take out Lawrence on the other side and then his backup. That's big time, man. They should be able to run that ball and hit the play action like they were Monday night.
Credit to the Cowboys against the Steelers. So 226 of total yards allowed by the Steelers. They were 3 of 12 on third down. But to your point, Ben, I mean, you've got to think of this opponent inside on the fast track. all the pieces back with having Frank back is huge. Dallas 23rd in rushing defense, 21st against the pass, 24th in points allowed, 17th in total. You got to think with the way Detroit played against Seattle, I think that kind of caught their rhythm, especially in the passing game that complemented a run game that's been good all year. You got to think that they're going to be able to go in there and score some points.
Yeah, I really am expecting kind of the way they've been doing it. Punch them in the face with Montgomery in the first quarter. Gibbs takes over in the second and third, and Montgomery's going to close it. I think pounding the ball against this defense, making them stop the run, is just going to open it up for Goff and St. Brown, man, because they're without the pick six king from last year too in their defensive backfield, Bland, right? Yeah. So it's just if they can get into that groove, I really like this offense's chance to kind of control the day, especially like you saw it out in Arizona too. I think you might see a similar thing there.
Well, it should be a fun one in Dallas. Obviously, the Lions are owed one in Dallas. A national TV game as the late afternoon national TV game should be fun. This one could mean a lot for the NFC. So those are the three keys. He has been Raven. Welcome back to the 20 in the Huddle podcast. Really happy to welcome in a new guest. The first time to the 20 in the Huddle podcast, nickel cornerback Amik Robertson. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all having me in, man.
All right, you're new, so let's start with this. What's something Detroit fans don't know about Amik Robertson?
It's a lot, but I would think what always come to my head would probably be what my name means. My name is Amik, of course, everybody know, and Amik is my mom's name spelled backwards. So my mom's name is Kima.
Okay.
K-I-M-A, and my name is spelled A-M-I-K.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Kind of unique, man.
Yeah, it's really unique. What was it about Detroit? You spent your first 4 years with the Raiders. What was it about Detroit, this free agency process, this situation that fit you, and has it turned out to be what you thought it would be when you came here to sign?
Everything I thought it would be is happening. Free agency came. I don't want to go into too many details. Free agency came. They called me the first day. Couldn't get a deal done, which was on me. And I was like, it was eating me up because this why every other team reached out. Even teams offer more money. But I just felt like for some reason my heart was saying guys was telling me to come here. I thought they wasn't gonna call me back. They coming back again the next morning. My agent called me like, look, the Lions came in again. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
They were like, whatever. I don't care about the Carlton Davis trade, whatever. Like, I want to go there, earn it, whatever whatever. Mm-hmm. I want to go there because I feel like I needed to be here, man. Being able to play with Coach AG and Dan, like the fire, like I even went on YouTube and looked at his videos, the hype videos that the Lions had. I felt like I belonged there, man, and I knew, we had a young group, guys coming in like Carlton, other guys, we had a young group, but I knew that those guys were football players and those guys were guys that love football. I could tell the play style, the way they played when we played against them. Well, when I was at the Raiders and we played against them, I felt like I fit this team.
And you fit in really nicely in the nickel. You've kind of taken that nickel spot. And look, that's been new to you. Yeah. I mean, you played outside with the Raiders. You played a little bit nickel. Yeah. You were kind of one of those guys that, like, wherever they needed you, you could play. What's been the adjustment like to now just be kind of that nickel spot? And do you like the fact that you've kind of settled into maybe one spot instead of outside one week, nickel the next week, you're playing here? Yeah. You can kind of settle into where you're at now.
Yeah, man, I just love this defense, man. We still getting better. We still working on the details, the little things, but I'm in the right spot, because I feel like, I'm a football player. And, as long as I'm on the field, AG always tell me just be yourself within a scheme. And when you got a DC that tell you that, just be yourself. Even Coach Dan, he tell me just be you. Like just, and just being in this defense, man. Like I said, having guys like Curb, BB, Arnold, CD, like it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing, and I'm just happy to be here.
And it's a relatively not young, but new secondary. You guys haven't played a lot together. You guys had some injuries in training camp, and so for you 5 guys to be together all at once, I mean, we didn't see that. I don't think at all during training camp. Maybe for a week. So is this thing still kind of falling together a little bit? You guys still learning each other a little bit, and how long does that take in your history of being in the league, how long before you maybe really start to gel when you got such a new group like you guys have?
I can't really respond to, but long as we get better each and every week, man. Long as we see improvement each and every week, because it's always not enough. It's always not enough. Like, it's never perfect. But we try to, trying to chase perfection. That's what get teams over that hump, and that's what get teams to be successful. And that's what we look for every day. We try to learn each other. So more of the story is never enough. We just trying to get better each and every day and play fast and trust each other, because that's what it's all about. Like I said, we out there trusting each other. Everybody can play fast. That's how we're able to make plays, and that's how we help this defense excel. When the defense excel, that's how the team excel. Well,
so far this year, you've been pretty darn good in the nickel. 56% completion percentage when people throw your way. When quarterbacks have a 74 passer rating when throw at you this year, I mean, you're playing some really good football in the nickel. What do you like about the nickel? You've played outside. You've played the nickel.
Matchups, always being around the ball. Like I say, being myself. And I know, I know in the slot, man, I'm not really going, especially in this defense, I'm not really having help. And I like it. I want that hard down, because when I have that hard down, it gives me opportunity to get my hands on the ball. Like, I want the smoke. Like, I want to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, right now, they probably don't see it. Like, I'm not really getting interceptions. I'm not, but they'll come. Like, I know they'll come. I remember, when I was at the Raiders, I was always chasing plays. Like, I was always that guy that try to make those splash plays. Interceptions, punch outs. It's like, here, like, I've learned, like, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. So if I can't get my hands on the ball, I try to get those PBUs every now and then, making sure my guy don't catch the ball. But I think my opportunity will come for those interceptions. I just got to keep my head on the swivel, keep doing my thing.
But it's also about playing physical too, and being good in the run game. I mean, 8 tackles for you against Seattle. I mean, you're one of those guys. You have to be that kind of player to play in the nickel in Aaron Glenn's defense, don't you?
He know I like that. He know. I tell him all the time, man. Put me in a, like. I told him last week, man. When I was before the bye week, I'm like. Give me some. I told him, man, Dan, give me some action, man. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all had me playing, man, a lot. Y'all had me doing this, whatever. But like I said, man, I'm happy to be there. I know those plays will come. It's still early. Those plays will come. I just gotta try to stay consistent, continue working, and helping those guys, and also us playing together.
And helping the young guys too. And I want to ask you this because I'm curious. When you were a young guy coming into the league, how hard was the transition from the college game to the professional game? Because we're seeing a little bit with the penalties, especially with Terrion. Because in college, you can be handsy, you can be physical. You come here, look, the league wants offense, they want scoring, and they want big plays. And so how tough was that transition for you? And Terrion's a smart guy, and it seems like he's going to figure that out. But how tough was that transition for you if you put yourself in his shoes 4 years ago?
If I'm being honest, man, Terrion is way past where I was coming in my rookie year.
Really?
I was a scrappy guy or whatever, but I barely played in my rookie year. I was mentally not there in my rookie year. So I tell him all the time, man, continue being you. It's just the fact that sometimes he doesn't, I tell him work on certain little things like getting his head around, because sometimes just don't panic, because most of the time, man, those quarterbacks, those balls be horrible, so just get your head around, man. You'll be all right. Continue being you, because what we don't want is him to lose that edge and lose his grit and his ability to be him, which is being a dog, so we just tell him all the time, man, continue playing, just work on the little things as far as getting his head around. I think Terrion's going to be fine.
You see the penalties. I think there'd be more concern if he was getting beat. If he wasn't in a position to make a play. If he wasn't right there, that's technique, and guys are going to figure that.
That's something. That's what I'm saying. That's something he's going to figure out, man. Mentally, he's there. He's ahead of. Like I said, he's very far from where I was, and I tell him that all the time.
There you go. Lions fans are going to love to hear that one. All right, let's talk about Dallas a little bit. You weren't here last year, but obviously how that game ended week 17, a lot of controversy. The Cowboys have had Detroit's number here the last few years. Just how much are you guys looking forward to this matchup, going on the road, us against them mentality? And then with you personally, look, you're going to see CD in the slot. And what do you like about those matchups against those all-pro, those superstar type guys?
I don't want to seem too – as far as the team, we know what we got to do. We look at it as another game, man. It's just as important as last week a couple weeks before with Seattle. Every time, like I said, we got a 24-hour rule, man. We win 24-hour rule, get back to what matter, which is the next team. So of course Dallas is a good team. They're a good team, but we're a good team too. As long as we own the details, as long as we practicing together, like I said before, we trust in one another, we'll be fine. We just got to be ourselves, man, and go out there and play Lions football.
How good can this defense be when you guys get all the pieces figured out? That secondary settles and gets more time together too. We've seen how good you guys can be in Arizona. Obviously against the Bucs, you were terrific. Just how good do you think this defense?
We can be man. We can be very good. We can be very good. We can. We can get there and make it happen. I don't speak to, we still got a lot of weeks, ahead of us. Like I said, we just gotta continue keeping our head on the swivel, working on the little things, and continue building. Because if you're doing that, you getting better each and every week, man. The team is gonna be. It was already good last year. Now they got some pieces, that can get us over that hump. And I know we can. I know we can do it. We just gotta keep our head on the swivel and keep working, trusting one another.
Big one this week, national stage in Dallas. It should be fun.
It's gonna be a fun one, man.
You guys are off. You guys are off to a great start, and we're looking for a lot more. I appreciate you taking the time. It's been really good. Good insight. Appreciate Amik Robertson, everybody. Welcome back to the Twentyman Huddle podcast presented by Microsoft. Let's take a look at the other perspective a little bit. Let's get all the info on Dallas. Jon Machota does a terrific job covering everything Dallas Cowboys for The Athletic. Jon, thanks for joining the Twentyman Huddle podcast. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Well, let's start with this. And injuries obviously play a factor in every game. Detroit Lions afforded the bye in Week 5, so they were on the practice field early in the week. All 53 players on their active roster were participating in practice. They're the healthiest they've been since Week 1. The Dallas Cowboys, not so much. What's the injury update with Dallas? There's a lot of big names on that list. Who can Lions fans expect to be available, not be available Sunday when Detroit rolls into Dallas?
Yeah, this thing's lining up great for the Lions. This is about as banged up as the Cowboys have been in a while, and particularly where they've been hit the most is that defensive end. I mean, it would be a long shot for Micah Parsons to play in this game. He suffered a high ankle sprain 2 games ago, and it just lines up perfect because the Cowboys bye week is next week. So just kind of lined up where you're like, okay, they have the bye week, and then right after that, they get the Niners, who've been the absolute thorn in their side for several years now. So it just made sense that, okay, they'll probably bring him back for that game. So I think it's very unlikely that Micah Parsons plays in this game. So that's obviously the biggest loss. DeMarcus Lawrence got put on IR recently, so that's their other starting defensive end. He won't be in this game. Brandon Cooks, their number 2 wide receiver, recently put on IR. He'll be out for 3 more games, so he's obviously not playing in this one. Those would be the biggest ones. But then the other part that hurt them is Marshawn Nealon, kid that went to Western Michigan. He gets hurt early against Pittsburgh, and this was kind of his opportunity, a second-round pick, step up, be one of the starting defensive ends, and maybe really, take his game to the next level with these opportunities with Lawrence and Parsons being out. But he gets a knee injury. Fortunately for him and the Cowboys, it's not season-ending, but he's not going to probably play for another 4 to 6 weeks. And so those are the big ones for sure. Tyler Guyton, the rookie left tackle, their first-round pick, he suffered a knee injury in the game and didn't come back, but it looked like he potentially could have. They just wanted to err on the side of caution. I think there's a decent chance he plays in this game. The one notable that this news just kind of came out yesterday is that Stephen Jones told their team website that there is a chance that Jerron Blank could play in this game. Now, he's one of their starting corners that he had a foot injury before the season even started, and he has been out. We've seen him working on the resistance cords on the side, but not doing anything team or any drills. He's still on IR. He has to be activated. And so that's a guy right there that would be a big boost to them if he comes back. But also there's the part of it is just how effective can he be? He's certainly not going to play the whole game. So no, the Cowboys are definitely banged up.
9 interceptions for him and I think 5 return for touchdowns. So that's a big boost for that defense. But look, Jon, sometimes is it a blessing in disguise that you get some of these injuries and then you get some of these younger players to kind of start playing, get some experience, start their development. You look at all the injuries that Dallas had last week and you watch that game against Pittsburgh. I think they allowed 225 yards. The Steelers were 3 for 12 on third down. And, you look at some of the guys like like Lawson and Golston and Tyrus Wheat all had a half sack. So can it be sometimes a blessing in disguise because you get some of these guys in, and then when you get healthy, now you've got some guys that have played and contributed, and maybe you're a deeper team overall. You just have to kind of weather the storm while you're in it.
So that's the way the Cowboys are looking at it, and I can get on board with that. I'll just say, though, I think that you'd prefer maybe the injuries, if you're going to have this many, be in some different spots as opposed to just all these defensive ends, because I did think it was going to be a great opportunity for Nealon, and then for him to go down, you're just like, because he was trending in a good direction. The coaches love him. When they drafted in the second round, it really was a kind of a blinking light of this is probably DeMarcus Lawrence's heir apparent. Lawrence only has 1 year left. This is his final year of his contract. So you see a step going forward where it's Nealon. The other thing that's kind of key here at defensive end is they had a guy in Sam Williams who they thought was going to be like their number 3 guy in that rotation. And he suffered a knee injury early in camp and was lost for the season. So it's like what they went into the season is their top 4 DNs. None of them will be on the field against the Lions, so that, and that's, from watching them last year play the Lions, that was one of their strengths, you don't want to get behind on the Cowboys on the scoreboard because that lets them pin their ears back and just come with this defensive end rotation and sometimes even get more than 2 out on the field and really cause havoc. And they really hadn't had that opportunity this year. And then as soon as they start playing well, they're losing these guys to injuries. So it'll help those young guys, no question about it, but it's almost too much.
Yeah, last year you look at Dallas at AT&T Stadium, undefeated. That was one of the toughest places to play in all the NFL, and it's been a little bit weird. They're 0-2. They haven't won at home yet. Just how much has that been maybe a talking point this week, a point of emphasis that they've got to get back to winning at home? Because if you don't win football games in this league, you're not going to be where you want to be in January and February.
No question, and it is so strange because they weren't a great road team the previous 2 years, why they were so great at home. And then this year they start out on the road 3-0, but then can't win at home. And it's easy to connect the dots to when this whole streak at home ended, and that was in the playoff game to the Packers where they just got punched in the mouth. I mean, that game was basically over before it started. And it made me wonder how they would come into this season. Like, would there be a hangover over that? I mean, that was, to me, it's the worst loss in Cowboys history when you factor in everything they had going for them, the talent, how healthy they were at that time. They kind of backed into the 2 seed. I mean, and then to lay that egg at home where they had been the best team in the NFL for 2 years, I thought for sure there would be a hangover, and maybe they'd just been the hangover at home because they have been good on the road, surprisingly. And so that's definitely something on their mind. They know that, hey, if they're going to get to the playoffs, they're not going to do it by just winning on the road. They got to take care of their home games. And so that's why this one is huge for them, especially going into the bye week.
Another thing that jumped out to me, John, and again, I'm talking with Jon Machota, does a great job covering everything Dallas for The Athletic. 31st in rushing. When you look at Dallas over the years, and obviously, when Zeke was humming along, that was always just something you knew. Dallas was going to come in with that offensive line, with that run game. They were going to control that part of the game. Their passing game played off it, and you knew you were in for a fist fight, with the ground game. That hasn't been the case so far this year. Who's the number 1 running back in Dallas right now? Is it Dowdle? And kind of what's been maybe slowing them up? Look, I know they've got Dak, and I know they got CD, and they put big money into that, and that's kind of, their bread and butter, but you've got to be a little bit more balanced in what we're seeing. Number 2 in passing, number 31 in rushing. I don't know if that's sustainable through 17 games.
No, it's probably not. And it is interesting how the running game, certainly since they drafted Zeke in 2016, and really even the 2 years before that, with DeMarco Murray, helped them kind of turn it around in 14 when he led the league in rushing and had the Cowboys all-time, best season rushing. So they go and draft Zeke. He was a top 5 pick, and that's a time when a lot of people were talking about the running back position being devalued. Not only do they use the high pick on him, then they give him a monster contract, and then that didn't pay off. And it's almost like Jerry Jones and company were like, hey, we're gonna go the opposite end, and we're not spending anything at running back. And it's crazy to see how much has changed because, it is Rico Dowdle, to answer your question. That is their number 1 guy. We kind of knew that going into the season just because he's the youngest guy. He's gonna have the freshest legs. Now, Zeke has still got he is the guy that you need to go to in 3rd and 1, on the goal line. Short yardage stuff. I mean, he absolutely still has enough gas in the tank to give you, 5-10 carries a game, but it's definitely Rico Dowdle is their one. But it's also kind of interesting because down here, we're wearing out Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones with questions about Dalvin Cook because they signed him, right before the season started. He hasn't been active for any of these games. And so for me, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, if he hasn't been active yet, it's clearly not the Dalvin that was in Minnesota, or he would be out there. It's not like they're just, well, we got so many talented backs, we just can't get them anytime. So that keeps on. Mike McCarthy said last week that he has been getting some reps with the ones here and there in some team drills, but I still don't even think this is the game. I still think they're going to wait till after the bye to potentially use him. I think this game still is going to be a Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott game. But yeah, the way that game went last year, the way that this team has played this year, I just do not see the Cowboys being able to run on the Lions.
Then what is, when you look at this matchup and you look at some of the rankings and a lot of similarities between these two teams through Detroit's first 4 games, Dallas's first 5 games, what do you see as the biggest key for Dallas to come away Sunday, national audience, with their first win at AT&T Stadium, get to 4-2, and kind of continue this recent dominance over the Lions? What's the number one thing they have to do in your opinion?
So I'm kind of laughing just because, to be 100% transparent, I did say this last week going into the Steelers game, and it kind of surprised me that this didn't happen. But I'm doubling down. I don't see a way that they beat the Lions without a big day from Dak and CD. And there really hasn't been that. I mean, they were great last year. You look at their numbers at the end of the year, there's a big reason why Dak ended up becoming the highest paid player in the league, and CD is now the number 2 highest paid non-quarterback. So it's really the 3 highest paid players in the NFL right now are Dak Prescott, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb. So it's like they gave all that money to those 2 guys because it's like, hey, this is going to be our now, and this can be our future. And you look at the way they played last season. I mean, you take the Lions game, how well Dak and CD played in there. That is the key. I just do not see a way, especially with all these injuries, that I always say it's like, I'm certainly not a coach. I would never even try to be an NFL coach. But whenever I talk to somebody else that covers another team, I always say, man, if I was going against the Cowboys, my number one thing is I'm throwing 2-3 guys at CeeDee Lamb, make them beat you with somebody else. Jake Ferguson's a very good tight end. Last year, they had Tony Pollard, which gave them some quality in the run game. They don't have that this year. Brandon Cooks is out. So you want Jalen Tolbert to be the guy that beat you. Now, that worked out for the Cowboys. He had the game-winning touchdown against the Steelers. But I feel like that's what you want to happen when you're playing the Cowboys. You want them to have to go to those other players. You don't want CD to have 220-some yards and just go off. That's when the Cowboys are at their best. And to win this game, I think that's what they would have to have happen.
Yeah, Lions fans found that out firsthand last year. 13 catches, 227 yards, and a touchdown in that game against Detroit Week 17. And, it's funny, John. I think that game was part of the reason why Detroit went into this offseason. It wasn't the only reason. There were many games leading up where Detroit really struggled against high-caliber wide receivers in passing games. It's a completely different secondary now. I mean, I don't even think Dallas fans are going to recognize any of the names that they saw Week 17. Brian Branch is probably the only one, Kirby Joseph. But this is a completely revamped secondary. They think they're better equipped to handle, matchups like this. Any talk with amongst Dallas players just about kind of this Detroit defense? It's an aggressive man-style defense, and they really trust those guys in the secondary. This isn't a defense that really double teams guys, that looks to take away one guy. They play their style. They play man defense. It seems like there's going to be some opportunities for CD to make some plays, but Detroit's just going to play their style.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, we haven't had locker room access yet. Pretty much on these normal weeks, we get Mike McCarthy and the coordinators on Monday, nothing on Tuesday, but covering the Cowboys, Tuesday's always Jerry Talks, Tuesday morning on the radio. But Wednesday and Thursdays are our days to get locker room, so we'll have that today. So I haven't heard anything from them yet, because last time we talked to them in the locker room, it was all about the Steelers. But it is interesting because of the fact that you go back to that draft that was just so great for Detroit. Now, being a native, Metro Detroiter, man, that was so awesome to see the turnout down there. And then just to be someone covering the Cowboys, and then here all of a sudden in the first round, the Lions are trading with the Cowboys to move up to get Terrion Arnold. And it's interesting how this season has played out so far too, because I know, Lions fans have kind of been on Arnold for being kind of grabby and stuff like that. Well, the pick that the Cowboys got when they traded back from the Lions, is Tyler Guyton, and at left tackle, he's been grabby and had too many penalties. And so it is interesting to see the two fan
It's a
bases
rookie thing, John. It must be a rookie thing.
It is, but I will also say that like with both players, I just feel like it's like, okay, I get it. It's the NFL. Hey, more than ever, young guys play, but it's like they're both so talented. It's just like, just give them time. It'll be fine. Like they both answer major areas of weakness, but it is also gonna be interesting because Arnold probably will get his moments against CeeDee Lamb. And I do expect Guyton to play in this game coming off the injury, and he's getting thrown to the wolves against Aiden Hutchinson, who had 3 sacks last year with Tyron Smith trying to block him. So, yeah, they're going to have their hands full there. Tyler Guyton is definitely, this is going to be one of those games where, yeah, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him.
I think young players are going to make a big impact in this game, and it's a big one. Early in the season, Detroit's trying to go on the road. They were hoping to see Dallas in the playoffs. To be honest with you, I mean, if they had their choice, they obviously loved hosting Tampa Bay, but they would not have been upset at all given what happened the end of that game in Dallas to have another chance at the Cowboys in Dallas. They've been looking forward to this game. They've been circling. It's an NFC opponent. It's probably going to have some impact on the playoffs at the end of the year. It's a fun Week 6 matchup. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fun one. There should be plenty of points scored, I'm expecting. And so, John, thanks for taking the time so much. I appreciate your insight. Really good stuff. And I'll make sure I come and say hello in Dallas.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thanks for having me on.